On today's show, I'm Nick Angstadt from Locked On Mavericks, and making me do this episode on Luka's debut for the Lakers is like making you go to your ex's wedding. And there are 9 other games on today's Locked On NBA game night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA game night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA game night. Tipping off now.
And welcome. You're Locked On NBA Game Night. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today. Joining me, as always, from the Locked On Bucks channel, both of our stars out with injuries right now. What'd you see in the NBA tonight, Camille?
All I really saw was Luka in the Lakers jersey and everything that came with that. I'm not going to hold you up, Nick. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to play in your face. That's the story.
We'll talk about other games that happened tonight. We'll talk about DeAndre Hunter's debut for the Cavs. We'll talk about the Jimmy Butler and his Warriors beat the Bucks. And we'll talk about the circus in Dallas that happened and Sacramento Kings win in double overtime. We'll break down all 10 games in the association, but as Camille says, we got to start with the game of the night, and that game is the Los Angeles Lakers and Luka Doncic's debut in LA. Packed house, Dirk Nowitzki in attendance while the Mavs play. We'll talk about that. Well, let's hear from our guy, Andy Kamenetsky of Locked On Lakers for their reaction to the star player getting his debut.
Kamenetsky, co-host of the Locked On Lakers podcast, and the Lakers get a 132-113 win over the Jazz in Luka Doncic's debut in purple and gold. You could see some rust from Luka after missing 22 games with a calf injury, just 5 of 14 from the field for 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists in just 24 minutes. I think the Lakers had planned on keeping on a minutes restriction in a game like this. He didn't really need to play more than that. But you also saw some of what makes Luka Doncic Luka Doncic. Great hit-ahead pass to LeBron in transition for a layup. He had the patented back down in the lane turnaround jumper. Some just incredible plays with vision, and what it's going to look like with LeBron and Luka is still a work in progress, but it never felt awkward. In the meantime, just a really balanced scoring night for the Lakers in general. LeBron, you're too long.
This is like, we're doing great. We're doing great. We just took a trip to the Amalfi Coast. Mm-hmm. We just, we've been hanging out, doing great. And you see your ex just happy afterwards. It's gutting every single time to hear it. But you saw Luka and you saw what Luka is. And he did look sluggish. He did look like he was coming back from injury, which he is. He hasn't played in a month. He hasn't played since Christmas. So that's understandable completely. But you saw some of the things that he's going to bring to this team and the pairing with LeBron.
Yeah, that's the scary part of it. Like, theoretically, the Lakers can have one of Luka or LeBron on the court at all times. That sounds like a cheat code. I don't care that LeBron is 40. Like, that is a cheat code in of itself. So the pairing between the two is going to take some time to get used to. I'm really curious to see how their dynamics continue to grow when they do share the court together. But to your point about Luka's, like, just hearing the joy that he was playing with, like, there is a clip floating around of when he made that long pass to LeBron, and it's just the biggest smile on his face. So I can imagine for Mavericks fans around the world, it's not just like that it's an ex. It's the ex that left you when you were happy in the relationship. You didn't even know anything was wrong.
Got the upgrade.
And then they left and you see who they're with and you're like, dang, like I need to work on myself a little bit more. but it's the beginning of something good. Like, they were against the Jazz, to be fair.
Let's be fair. 28th defense in the NBA.
To be fair. But they did what you would hope that a good team would do against a bad one, and that's blow them out.
Yeah, they did. And to see Luka with LeBron, the passing is going to be insane. That's 2 of the best 10 passers in NBA history, probably. With those guys together, I mean, the passes we've seen Luka make are insane. Obviously, LeBron's passing speaks for itself. But to see both those guys together, that pairing is going to be fascinating. I'm curious to see when they play an actual NBA offense and to see how their defense holds up. Jackson Hayes seems to be pretty happy about his role. He got six lobs basically for 12 points. That's a Daniel Gafford line right there that he's got on that. But yeah, it was could not have been a more perfect debut for Luka Doncic in this. And we also, of course, in patented Lakers form, got some drama as well on this because according to Dave McMenamin, LeBron had some thoughts about the Mark Williams trade and the Lakers giving up some assets and ready to go ahead and do that. David McMenamin says this, quote, "What is clear that Doncic will have a say, and it wasn't lost on LeBron James's camp sources said that Pelinka prioritized Doncic's involvement upon his arrival and immediately engaged in the Williams trade that he'd asked for when James had for years wanted the team to trade its picks to improve its roster." Camille, when is this going to bubble up?
Probably by next year. I think they're going to have the honeymoon phase still this year of just like the joy of them being together. But LeBron, of course, peeped what was going on. But Bron has to also realize this is now the first time in his career where he's going to be like the second banana on the team. Like it's Luka's team going forward, and the Lakers are making that clear in their decision making. Even in the announcements, Luka was announced last in the lineup announcement. And when you're last, you already know what that means. That means you the star, baby. So LeBron has to accept that role. And at the age of 40, for the first time in his career as a second banana.
I was wondering if that had been the first time, maybe in LeBron James' career ever, that he was not last in introductions. I mean, think about with the Heat. I mean, maybe they did with Wade, but everywhere else, even like high school and probably before that, even like third grade, he's probably the last one introduced if they were going to do it. That was wild to hear Luka being introduced last and for LeBron to not be last in that. So I just found that interesting. Their dynamic is going to be interesting. They obviously have a lot of admiration for each other. And so I don't think there's going to be some kind of festering up, thing between the two of them. Luka is as chill as they come when it comes to stuff like that and the off the court things. And so I think it'll be interesting. I'm also interested to see if there's going to be a Kobe Shaq dynamic between the two of them where LeBron's like, "Hey, Luka, you've got to take care of your body. I'm spending $1 million a year on my body. Where are you?" The way Kobe did with Shaq over and over again. So I'm
sure you're hoping for that to be the case, aren't you?
No,
Nick? Aren't you?
I'm not. Nico Harrison is definitely hoping for that. I didn't trade him. It's not my call.
You know what? Good point. But one last thought on them, I will say, I know their teammates are happy just to be able to play with two guys who are going to look for you. And you saw it tonight, like they had 7 players on this Lakers team that scored in double figures. So the teammates are going to be happy, even if there might be some tension eventually between LeBron and Luka.
A win for the Lakers. They'll take it, and they've been playing really well lately. So we'll see what happens with them. Check out Locked On Lakers for more on that. Locked On Jazz too, I guess. There's some host does that one. The Cleveland Cavaliers got a win against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Cavs started out on a 16-0 run. The Cavalanche right off the bat. I don't know if we've seen that from them this season, but let's hear from Danny Cunningham about the Cavs win.
Danny Cunningham here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse after the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 128-107. The Cavs moved to 43-10. Let's talk about this one for 94 feet. DeAndre Hunter made his team debut on Monday night here in Cleveland. He finished with 12 points. He hit 3 3-pointers, did a really good job defensively early. The Cavs held Minnesota to just 12 points in the first quarter. They only made 2 baskets the entire first quarter. Cavs defense was absolutely suffocating and could be a preview of what could be to come for this team. Now, after that, Kenny Atkinson said they switched up coverages a bunch and a lot of stuff didn't really work on Anthony Edwards after that first quarter as he exploded for 40-plus points. And then as far as the Cavs goes, Evan Mobley had a really nice night offensively. Again, he had 28 points, had 10 rebounds, continued this strong stretch of games for him that he's had since that poor game against Boston last Tuesday. But Cavs have one more game before the All-Star break, and it comes at a really good time considering the acquisition of Hunter because they're going to be able to have some practice time, and that is something that could help them get him up to speed and really get this team clicking on all cylinders. But after night one with DeAndre Hunter, I think the Cavs are going to get a lot better when he's in the lineup.
Do you believe, Danny, do you think the Cavs are going to get a lot better with DeAndre Hunter now?
Yes, and as somebody who's been cheering for the Bucks for years and someone who covers the Bucks, I hate it so much because the Cavs were already rolling, and now they add Hunter, who's like the perfect guy to slot in as a 3 for him. He gives size to that team that has an undersized backcourt. He's going to play defense. He's going to knock down threes. It's just such a good fit, and I hate it so much.
They tried to push Okoro into that role for so long, that point of attack defender, starting 3, the 3-and-D type guy, and now they just went and got one that was drafted 4th overall by the Lakers, by the way, a long time ago. And he like he averaged 19 points a game for the Hawks, so he can score too. He shot 39% from three this season, 37% the last 4 years. He hit 3 threes in his debut, so he's going to add a lot. They immediately put him on Anthony Edwards, like he said, did a really good job on him in that first quarter. Then they changed some things up, but man, I'm with Danny. I think this is going to add a lot to this team that they needed. They need a couple guys back from injuries. Strus is out, Okoro's out, Dean Wade's out. They get all those guys back, and I think they're rolling right again. Like the Cavalanche is coming for anybody.
I agree. They look good on the court with this move, and this move also helped clear up their books financially as well. So they're not going to be a taxpayer now after making that trade. So not only does it help them on court, but it helps their books going forward again. If you're a Cavaliers fan, you should be really thrilled about what's going on. If you have a rooting interest in any other team in the Eastern Conference, put on edge a little bit from the Cavs making this move.
The Cavs move was so good that LeBron James retroactively got upset that they didn't make a move like this when he was on the Cavs.
Coming up, all his chickens tonight.
Coming up, speaking of chickens with their heads cut off, the Dallas Mavericks are it's a circus over here. And I'll tell you everything that happened that you need to know coming up because it's wild. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Open Phone. If you are a small business owner, you know that you have a bunch of different hats that you have to wear. You know that you have a bunch of different things that you have to take care of and keep track of. And the last thing you want is to miss some business because you took a call and you forgot to take notes and you don't know what to do. Open Phone is going to help you. It's the #1 business phone system designed to help keep your work and personal life separate for just $15 a month. You get the complete transparency and visibility to everything that happens with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app or the phone or app on your phone or on your computer. It integrates tools like HubSpot, hundreds of others like that, uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries so you have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. Gotta love that so you don't forget things and you don't miss out on an opportunity. They also have automated messages that are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss another opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off your first month when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA, OPENPHONE, openphone.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/LockedOnNBA if you have an existing number with service. OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Game Night, being part of this show. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out this show. We've got a daily show that covers your favorite team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your favorite team every day. All right, Camille, we're talking about the games in the association tonight. The Dallas Mavericks lose in overtime, but the story is not even the game. Only the Mavs' second overtime game of the season. But the story is the circus around it, because there were 3 moments in this game where there were loud boos that just rained down in the arena. And they came at random times, not during a game, that the Mavs didn't have a bad turnover or something like that. Mm-hmm. These loud boos. One of them was Patrick Dumont, the governor, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, walking back to his seat after halftime. It was like 9 or 10 minutes after halftime had ended. He comes back in the middle of the third quarter, very visible, right to his courtside seat where he's sitting next to the mayor with his dumb hat of Dallas. And he sits down and the boos just rain down super loud. And Kyrie was at the free throw line. It was a very jarring, weird experience. Another one, we had been tracking this in Dallas, where the first game the first home game the Mavs had, where they had the protests and all that, was against the Rockets. The Mavericks did not show a single fan on the Jumbotron the entire game, that one. They did not. And so we were watching it. They finally got to the karaoke cam in the third quarter. They put up the karaoke cam and we're like, are they going to really do this where they're not going to show fans on the? They started to show them. Half of them were like the Mavs dancers and the Mavs maniacs and some things like that. And then they show some fans. And they show a guy on the Jumbotron, and he mouths "Fire Nico" as clear as day as he could. And immediately the camera pulls out, and they switch to a different person. And I found the guy in the arena, and I'm watching him, and all of a sudden I hear these boos, and the guy gets escorted out of the building by security. It had happened to other people too. There's a story that has now been confirmed that a fan told me that Mark Cuban heard some fans behind him in the section that he sits in scream "Fire Nico" and tried to get the chant "Sell the team" and "Fire Nico" over and over again. And Mark Cuban stood up, turned around and said, "Shut the F up," and sit down to those people. I mean, it is just a circus over here. And to add more to it, to add more intrigue, and you know what? To add more conspiracy to it, Jason Kidd did not show up to his post-game media availability, which is the first time that many of us that have covered the NBA for a long time have ever seen a coach not show up to post-game media. I hope that it's not something personal. I kind of hope it's part of the circus and it's not like something happened to his family or something like that. So I'll push that aside for right now. Camille, is this the craziest situation that's happened in the NBA? Is this the worst maybe like situation in the NBA right now as a fan?
Yes. Yes. Like, I don't know how many more ways to say that. And I feel bad for the players on the Mavericks as well, because again, they had no part in Luka being traded. They were also surprised by it. So when you're trying to do your job, you're at home, you're expecting to have that support of the crowd to be trying to win this game that was super close and competitive, given that it went to overtime, to have a guy that's on your team, Kyrie at the free throw line, having to deal with boos raining down at that time, a time when normally
it had nothing to do with him.
Exactly. Normally it's quiet. You get time to focus and think. You might hear a heckler or two, but to get booed and it has nothing to do with you, like, that's the dynamic that the players have to continue to play with. And I give them credit, because the Mavericks came out and played with a lot of heart, a lot of hustle, even with Gafford getting injured during the game, which, again, just piling on to what the Mavs have been dealing with. So it's a really tough situation for the fans, having like their sports heart broken, really, with the trade of Luka, and then the players having to deal with the aftermath of that when they're just trying to do their job and play as well as they can.
The Gafford injury, he got injured 2 minutes into the second quarter. It looks really, really bad. We haven't heard an update on it, but we'll see. It was one of those injuries where you go, ooh, that could be an ACL. That could be something like that. We'll see what happens with him. If he's out, the Mavs really have no options. All four of their centers are out like right now and could be out for the rest of the season, considering all that. Last thing I want to say on this game. Dirk Nowitzki was in attendance for the Lakers game for Luka's debut. Dirk Nowitzki is the Mavericks. There's a statue outside of the arena that I walked by today that says loyalty never fades away. What a joke right now. And he was loyal to the Mavericks, and he went to Luka's debut. And to me, Dirk Nowitzki is never gonna come out and say a statement, I disagree with what the franchise did and I hate that they traded my guy. But Dirk Nowitzki will make a statement. And I think today he made a statement with his actions. And I think that the Mavericks should, if they're not going to listen to the fans and the protests and all that, they should listen to the actions of Dirk Nowitzki, because I think that was very telling. He said on Twitter, I'm a Mav for life, but I want to support my guy. Yeah, he wants to support his guy because that is still his guy. Yeah. And I think that speaks volumes on that.
I do too. It's his guy, and his guy was also done wrong, one could argue as well. A big surprise for him to be traded the way that he was, with all that he has given to the franchise. So that's like, Dirk's not like that nice guy who's not trying to be in the public really exposing you, but to your point about how the actions speak louder, he knew. That's why he put the statement out ahead of time, like, hey, it's still Mavericks, but like, I gotta go and support Luka tonight.
Yeah, because that's his guy. The Mavs, by the way, fought really hard and had a lot of injuries. They started Kessler Edwards and Dante Exum and still got to overtime against the Kings and had some late, mistakes. And Kyrie Irving was a warrior and played 30, or scored 30 points and had 9 boards. And there's just a lot of really good things from this Mavericks win that you can take away. You can go listen to Locked On Mavs and we talk about some of those. Max Christie, another 15-point game, but the Kings get the win. They played Jonas Valanciunas and Domantas Sabonis together. It was the first time we've seen that big pairing, which I thought was interesting. They went super big against the Mavericks. It was good. I think it was I don't know if it was a good win for the Kings, but they did come away with a win. And DeMar DeRozan, 42 points, hit the game winner basically off of a double team, which was wild for him. All right, the Milwaukee Bucks lose to the Golden State Warriors. Jimmy Butler, 20 points, 9 boards, 6 assists, hit 12 out of 15 free throws, gets to the line, adds another element to them. What did you see from the Warriors in this one?
I saw the Warriors being really advantageous on defense. They were switching really well on defense, and they were able to force the Bucks into a lot of mistakes. I believe the Warriors had 16 steals in this game. Bucks had a total of 20 turnovers, led to 31 Warriors points. They were able to really control the game with their defense. And then on offense, even when they weren't able to score, they were able to crash the glass and get second and third opportunities at a bucket. And it paid off for them. They took, I think, 17 more field goals than the Bucks throughout the game. They had 15 offensive rebounds to the Bucks 5. They were just really complete in all of those little areas where you need to compete, especially against a Bucks team that when fully healthy, they still need to make sure that their room for error is not great for this Bucks team. So when Giannis is missing, that shrinks even more. And that margin for error was so slim. And with the turnovers and everything the Bucks were doing, it was really hard for them to win, despite Dame going off for 38 points after he dropped 43 the night before. Second night of a back-to-back for Dame in the Bucks. So his performance was impressive, but the Warriors were just a little too much defensively for the Bucks.
You know, Dame scored 70 one time. He scored both of those games like together once.
Which is crazy.
It's wild to think back to that. But yeah, Dame was matched by Steph, who also had 38 in this one. What did you see from Jimmy Butler specifically? This is a couple games into the Jimmy Butler experience.
He helps them get to the free throw line so much more, just with his ability to be able to grip those fouls. In addition to that, his ability to crash the glass on the offensive edge was big for the Warriors as well. He's someone who just adds another dynamic that they really need, especially with the defenses focusing so much on Steph Curry. Get the ball to Jimmy, see what he can do with it. Even if it's not a bucket, he can probably get himself to the free throw line. So he just helps. And then defensively, we know what Jimmy Butler can do, and he helps with that switching defense that they run. So Jimmy looked good so far from what I saw in his debut. Well, not his debut, but against the Bucks here.
Yeah. Kyle Kuzma, we've seen a couple of games of him for the Wizards. 21 points on 9 shots. What'd you see from him?
He's still trying to find his place. Kyle Kuzma seems to me so far as a guy who's really trying to fit in, like the new kid in class of like, I want y'all to like me. So I'm really playing with them myself. I'm not stretching it too far right now. But he adds versatility to the Bucks with his size, being the 6'9", 6'10" forward. It's going to be really interesting to see his fit once Giannis actually comes back and to see how those two can share the court together.
That's some size right there.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez, Kyle Kuzma, Giannis. I mean, you really got some size on the Bucks there. Coming up, 6 more games in the association. The Wizards did something I don't think I've ever seen before. And I'll tell you what that is coming up on Locked On NBA Game Night.
Big chicken, baby.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
It's Count It Up, where we count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including things that the Wizards do. The Wizards did something I've never seen before. Let's hear from our guy, Brandon Scott, on the Wizards' loss to the Spurs, but again, did something I've never seen.
Tristan Vucevic drops 18 points as all Wizards score in double figures in a 131-121 loss to the San Antonio Spurs. And yes, the Spurs did win this game. Yes, Victor Wembanyama did drop 31 points and 15 rebounds, but tonight is all about Tristan Vucevic, the second-round pick in last year's draft for the Washington Wizards. Last 5 second-round picks haven't even showed up. This kid showed up tonight, 18 points, contributing 6 rebounds, and the potential is sky high with this kid. And yes, when you look at the first round, we have talent like Black Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, now AJ Johnson. But now, if we, now we've hitting in the second round with Tristan Vucevic, and this is a testament to General Manager Will Dawkins and President of Basketball Operations Michael Winger to what the potential is here in DC. A lot of young talent. They just need to put it all together within the next couple of years, and I think they will. Hail to the Wizards and hey.
The Wizards, every single player that played was in double figures. 9 players in double figures. I don't think I've ever seen that. I have 9 players in double figures and everybody that played.
I don't think that I have either. Like, I had to pull up the box score one more time and be like, everyone had double figures?
I looked at it first and I thought it was plus minus. I thought I was looking in the wrong column.
That's nuts. I mean, listen, that's a really balanced scoring night for a team that doesn't really have a big star right now. So it's what you hope to see. Although Jordan Poole 16 points on 18 shots.
Say Jordan Poole takes offense to that, and then Jordan Poole takes another shot and misses. Yeah, the Wizards PR said it's the first time in franchise history the Wizards have had 9+ players in a game with double figures, and I was trying to figure out in NBA history how often that happened, and I also wanted to know how often in NBA history 9 players have been in double figures and the team loses, because the Spurs won this game.
The Wizards have to set that record, which would fit with what they have going on this year.
I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it, and I just have to imagine. It's just no one had ever thought to ask that before because this has never happened.
It seems nonsensical for it to happen. But here it is.
Nonsensical. Absolutely wild for the Wizards. But Fox and Wemby both get 30 in the win for the Spurs. Good one for them. A nice bounce back, and we'll see what happens with them going forward. Obviously, go check out Locked On Spurs, Locked On Wizards. The Boston Celtics get a win. Yawn. I guess they do that all the time. Let's hear from John Corrales of Locked On Celtics.
Jason Tatum dropped 20 in the third quarter. The Celtics pull away with a dominant second half,
but it's what they did in the second quarter without Tatum that really turned this game around and won them this game in Miami. When Tatum sat down, the Celtics were down by 6. They were down by as many as 11 in the first quarter, a terrible first quarter, but Sam Hauser had 15 in the second. Without Jaylen Brown and with Tatum sitting, the Celtics played fast, and they got that ball moving. They played with great pace, and Miami couldn't keep up. They went absolutely frigid cold after the first quarter, and Boston really ran away with it. The Celtics got really good performances across the board from all of their starters. Kristaps Porzingis was dominant inside. Al Horford was hot from 3. Derek White chipped in with a few shots, including an incredible buzzer beater. And, typical of him in Miami. Celtics, it looked like they were going to pull the same old stunt, but then they recovered, and Tatum was awesome. Now they get to close it out at home against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs.
We were all worried about the Celtics and if they were going to pull that game.
Of course.
We were all so worried about it.
Big worries. So many.
A team I am worried about is the Orlando Magic. They lose to the Hawks 106-112, and the Magic only put up 106 points. However, they get 37 from Franz Wagner, 31 from Paolo Banchero, and I was reading around on the Orlando Magic subreddit today, and Brian Windhorst reported that the front office of the Magic didn't even really reach out during the trade deadline to try and improve the roster really, and he didn't really try to add somebody else. So my question for you, Camille, how much will they regret not adding another scorer? Or do you think they're still on track?
I guess it would depend on where you see the ceiling for this team this season. If you're going in like we want to win the championship this year, then like them not doing anything at the deadline it's like, wait, why didn't you make any move? But if you're just trying to see how this team continues to develop, you want to get into the playoffs, have a strong first round, like they're still on track to do all that. They could even win a first round matchup if they get the right matchup. So like if that's the goal, if it's just trying to progress from last year, they can still be on that same path.
That's the thing, is you've got some young guys for sure. I mean, Paolo's 22, Franz Wagner is young as well, and is 23. And you look at it and you're like, all right, well, you have some of these guys under contract. You got some flexibility going forward because you don't have guys on super big deals just yet. The Franz Wagner deal doesn't really kick in until next season. Paolo Banchero still on his rookie deal, and yeah, it's like I'm in between two things. On one hand, I have firsthand experience that your window closes pretty damn fast in the NBA sometimes. And sometimes the team closes it for you and you really didn't realize what it was. And I think that they're just going to regret not taking this opportunity, even though there are two juggernauts in the East, and maybe they're just biding their time. They did go get KCP this summer, so it's not like they haven't done anything on that. But man, it's interesting to hear that they just didn't try to go get anybody because they need another score so badly.
They really do. When you broke down, like Paolo went off for 31, Franz went off for 37. No other Magic player scored in double digits. So
scored more than 7.
That's tough. It's hard to win that. Tristan DeSilva had 9. So
sorry.
He was close, but it's hard to win that way.
He didn't even score more than the Wizards, Tristan, and nobody knows that guy.
That's so true.
The Thunder get a win against the Pelicans. Let's hear from our guy Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder.
Oklahoma City Thunder get a lopsided win over the New Orleans Pelicans in this game. The Thunder still shorthanded. No Isaiah Joe, no Cason Wallace, and even without those two guys, their best shooter and one of their better defenders, the Thunder still shot the ball extremely well. They still suffocated this lowly Pelicans offense out of this game, making it a non-contest for at least 3 of the 4 quarters, and really, 3.5 of the 4 quarters of this game. The Thunder, once they got clicking offensively, really rolled. Their defense was sharp from the beginning. Chet Holmgren continues to be elite defensively while he's finding his sea legs offensively. And you saw tonight just how good and how deep this Thunder team is. We'll talk more about it on Locked On Thunder.
As the channel manager of Locked On NBA, I think I might put Rylan on suspension for saying the short-handed Thunder, talking to this Pelicans team that has gone through so many injuries this season. How dare you say the short-handed Thunder when they're missing Isaiah Joe and Cason Wallace? Like, how dare you say that in front of these Pelicans? The Pelicans are missing Herb Jones, DeJounte Murray, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown. They lost Brandon Ingram to a trade. He's gone. CJ McCollum was out of this game too. I was offended. I was offended on behalf of Jake Madison, the Pelicans.
Listen, I think that all the Pelicans fans out there are like, they are happy that you stood up for them in this one because what a point. What a point to make. Short-handed? Where? Like, y'all have so much depth. I understand that they're key rotational pieces, but still, like,
luckily, probably most people in New Orleans didn't watch this game after the hangover from the Super Bowl. So I think they may be okay.
They're still on Bourbon Street, so they're not even paying attention to this game.
Still hanging out, pretending they're Eagles fans. Last game of the night, the Denver Nuggets get a big win over the Portland Trailblazers. Big in the sense of they scored a million points in this game. Finished with 146. Jokic, 40 points, 8 assists on 15 of 22 shooting in 30 minutes. My question for you, Camille.
Count it up.
How do you react when Jokic wins his 4th MVP?
Ooh. When you're just calling it now. You're just saying like it's about to happen. SGA.
This is it's a hypothetical.
Okay. In this hypothetical world, if he gets his 4th MVP, that puts him into some really elite company. But honestly, I think MVP should be given out not based on where it's going to put you in history, but based on what you did in that season. And Jokic has been putting up some numbers again that continue to show you how he is one of the best in the world at what he does. Shout out to CM Punk. But if he gets it, then like just a hat tip to him for what he's been able to do over these years and being one of the best players in the world.
It would be insane for him to get a 4th.
Oh, it truly
MVP.
would.
These are the players with 4 MVPs. LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
All-time greats.
Him and Wilt Chamberlain would be the only ones with 1 title.
Well, at least you're in company with Wilt. That's all. Hey, you always try to be in the record books. Well, maybe not in everything, but you do try to be in the record books with Wilt for most things. Those who know.
I'm so mad Pat wasn't on this show for that very statement you just said. Oh my God. He's right now tied with Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Moses Malone.
Already. Great company. Already.
It'd be wild if he wins another one, but he's on track right now because he's been playing so well and has games like this every night where you just go, oh, another 40 points, 8 assists on 22 shots.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Nuggets fans are lucky to be able to watch a generational talent like that day in and day out. Truly.
Yeah. Imagine if you had a generational talent that was somewhat like that and your team decided to trade him and like made the choice and went to the other GM and was like, hey, we're thinking about trading this guy. And then the GM looked at you and said, nah, you're joking, right? And laughed in your face. And then you sat down and you really looked at him and you said, nah, bro, I'm not.
You said for realsies, this 25-year-old at that.
Goodness gracious. We're going through it on Locked On Mavs, so come check out Locked On Mavs. Go check out Locked On Bucks. They've got a real team around that they can talk about. So check out all those. Check out all the shows that we have on Locked On NBA. We have the Daily Show with Doug, Matt, and Hayes. Great stuff all the time, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA Game Night.